Good morning, guys. Welcome to or welcome back to Penguin's Garage. Today, we're going to be turning this Jeep right here into, oh wait, wrong Jeep. Sorry about the confusion. This Jeep into this. First step, let's pull this one into that garage and we'll leave that Jeep outside for now. So what we have here is Chris's 2015 Jeep Rubicon JK. And last time we went out, he had these little cute rock sliders on there that didn't quite stand the test of time. Got a little beat up. Also, fuel tank. That fuel tank took a pretty good beating. It might be about a gallon shy at this point. So get some new skids under it. We got one for the fuel tank, new sliders with 120 DOM. On this side over here, this side's the good side. This took a little bit. You can kind of see it's got a little bow to it, but for those of you that don't know, when you're out and you're on the trail, when you get a long wheelbase like this, it is incredibly important to have sliders. Actually, sliders is the first thing that anybody should put when they're going off-roading and playing in the rocks. Even before a lift kit, because the sliders can make up for what you don't have. Chris does not have a lift kit on this Jeep. However, those sliders, as messed up as they are, saved his Jeep a lot of damage and allowed him to get through the trail. So what you do, oh no, there's a boulder in the way. Yeah, look at that. That boulder could take out this Jeep easily. So what you would do is you would start driving, you turn, and you use that to kind of pivot the Jeep around that surface and help you make the turns that you couldn't make because your wheelbase is too long or your lockers are screwing with you or whatever the case may be. It kind of, it's a form of front digs, I guess. You can do a front dig turn, maybe. So anyways, rock sliders are the first thing that anybody should do to their Jeep. I'll argue that with anybody, and actually I won't. Not much into that, but my opinion, rock sliders. Moving on, we have the fuel tank skid plate, and then we have something else. Oh, he wants fenders put on this, and we have the drag link stiffening reinforcement plate so that it doesn't rip off on the trail and we don't have to sit there and try and use the Carnage welder to put it back together. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I will go into a little bit of depth on this one because it's a small project and I don't have to move quickly through it. So yeah, let's see what we can get into. We're working with a Quadratec fuel tank skid plate, all aluminum, oobla-dee thing. So here's why I don't like instructions, guys. This is step 3. I decided to just kind of breeze through and see what we got going on here. This step requires help from a friend. Fuck. Guess I can't do this job. So I'm going to use the help of my friend Mr. Jack, Mr. Other Jack, Mr. Ratchet Straps, and Mr. Sketchy, and see what we can do. So let's check it out. Okay guys, so step 1, there's a bolt there and a bolt here. I threw a jack underneath it, so we're going to take these two out. Good news, it didn't fall on us. So these brackets, the small one goes up front, and that's going to go right there. All right, torquing those to 12 ugga-duggas or something like that. Now in the instructions it says to leave these loose. I am not leaving them loose. I'm going to regret it, but the bolt is relatively self-centering, and it's nothing that the encouragement of a breaker bar can't fix, or even that I can't just loosen it afterwards and realign it, but I want these two as tight as possible while I'm screwing around with the rest of the tank. Okay, so now it says to remove a lot of other bolts. I think I just pull this out. So what I'm going to do, guys, and I don't think I'll capture it, maybe I will, I don't know, but there's a bolt up there. This is right in front of the rear wheel. I'm going to take that because it coincides with an angled piece on this here bracket. And I'm going to pull that off, put this on there, put that bolt back in, and then I'm going to try do these two bolts, get them threaded back in, and then I can do something else. I don't know. We're starting with that bolt. Sometimes you just got to do it and not think about it. Huh. All right, there's that. Huh. Well, guys, I overthought that one. I thought it was going to be holding in the tank. Guess what? It's not. Undo all the bolts. Okay. Now we have to put these bolts in that go into the brackets. There it is, guys. It's in. Those back two bolts on the inside by the drive shaft, those sucked. This thing's been slammed in already, so if you're going to do this, I strongly suggest potentially doing it before you beat the heck out of it. But it doesn't always happen that way. So I'm going to move on now to the sliders. So I got the box over there. I'll get it opened up. I'm going to zip these off real quick, and then we'll see how those are going to go onto that. Alright guys, we're going to go for a little bonus footage here. This pinch weld is bent in because where the rocker impacted it. I could hit it and pull it out, but if you look, it's actually stove in pretty good. I have a decent arsenal of paintless dent removal tools. Just because you have the tools doesn't mean you know how to use them though. So I'm going to give this a couple whacks and we'll see what happens with it. We start here by prepping the surface. We're going to clean it. I can't get in it from behind unless I drill a hole in it, and honestly I'm not looking to do that. So I'm going to make my first pull probably right here. I'll do a second pull right there and we'll see what happens. I'm using these fellas here. Good amount of surface area. Put a special little hoojadiddy on there. A little coming out. So when you're releasing this glue, take some of your rubbing alcohol, just kind of coat it a little, and then it peels right off. Floop, like that. Oh, that's moving it nice. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on there, and then I will proceed to the top, and I'll hit that while I'm putting just a little pressure on it. Hook up to our tool and pow! Hook up down here and pow! Oh yeah. That's doing good things. Good things are to be done. Now to get these off, usually you just kind of hold it to the side and pop it or twist it, pop it, bop it. Okay, so we're getting there, guys. It's a little bit inset. Got another pop to do right here on the seam, and I got a big pop to do right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up this here. Sorry about the sideways, guys, but this here is bare paint or bare metal, and right here is bare metal from the impact. So I'm not overly concerned about the paint. I am concerned about it, but you know, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up one of the things here, pull pressure while I tap from under here, and that should help release this. And then up here, the same thing. I'm going to put pressure here and give right here a couple taps, and you'll see how that's done. So I'm not going to just sit here and make you guys watch 2 hours of me doing some PDR, but that bottom's almost ironed out. I'm going to hit it a couple more times. We're almost flush up here. I got to pull a little bit. This obviously I haven't touched yet, so I'm going to make a little more progress and I'll come back. Okay guys, here's the final result. Still got a little bit of a chingus right here, little divot, a little bit concaved in here, and then the bottom still has a little bit to it, but my pinch weld is now straight as an arrow. If you can see it, yep, that's straight. And that's all by just pulling this back out. So I just used a Markall black paint. This is an off-road Jeep, guys. This, not a show Jeep. So I just used that to touch it up. I mean, even up close, it's pretty close paint match. But from here, can you see it? Hell no. Now let's finish putting these running boards on this side. I'm going to show you guys the other side because this isn't easy to figure out. I'm struggling with it. So I'll pick up on the other side, show you guys what I'm doing. So here's body armor 4x4. This is the kit right there. Now, in the instructions, we have here's what comes in the kit. All right, cool. I didn't get any of these. And over here, we got these things. So I kept trying to figure out what those were. And on top of that, the way they want you to do the bolts, I didn't have enough of these. Luckily, it's a common Chrysler bolt. So I got my own. Those will be what I use to hold up, and these are all grade 8 or 10. So this is what it looks like. All instead. Ooh. Let's see how we got to this point. I'll show you it's actually really simple once you add a bunch of hardware and do it the way you want to. So we have 3 brackets per side. The skinny little one goes in the back. This one middle, this one front, or that one middle, that one front, they're the same. So let's get one thrown up there and I'll show you what it looks like. I don't have fancy lights, guys, so the lines going through the screen, that's just gonna be what it is. So I've never really been one to hold back an opinion. And if you're wondering if I think this is a garbage kit, my answer is no. I do not think it's a garbage kit yet. I think that we need to get it out there and see how it performs. Now, Body Armor was holding a 50% off sale. I gave Chris the option. I said, hey, I know nothing about this company. Full Wheel Parts recommended them. However, everything's 50% off. So that made these somewhere around $200 or so. I think they were like $250 maybe. I'm like, you want to roll the dice? Let's roll the dice. The literature that I found on these says that they are 120 wall. So I know they're thick enough. That's what the same thickness is on the Taco, so they'll take a beating. I think that as long as these tubes hold up, this might be a good deal. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on that one and then the rear, and then I'll show you guys, and then we'll bolt up the slider. So there it is, guys. Just put the bracket into place and then bolt in these little sliders, and there they are. The gap looks pretty good across the whole thing. This side got pretty screwed up too. There's a, I find a good angle here. There's one of them. That's a crease from the bar. That's a crease from the bar. The paint's, yeah, a little touchy, so I don't want to mess with it like the other side and have it flake off. So now that that's all done, we are going to move on to the track bar reinforcement bracket extraordinaire Chingus thingy. So I'm going to pick up the front end a little bit, take this tire off, and get going on that. Here is the drag link bracket stock in the vehicle. Here is our aftermarket that goes over it. So what ends up happening is these welds in here crack along this edge. And when those crack right along here, it ends up breaking this off the vehicle, and then you no longer have a front end that wants to be in this vehicle. Quite a few companies have this bracket now to do this. So what we're going to do, we're going to unbolt this guy down here, unbolt all these. That's going to free up the gearbox, make it want to run away on us. So I'm going to see if I can get a strap around this thing, but probably not. Probably just going to have to unbolt it, let it fall and do its thing. But I'm going to take off the track bar first. Boing. Now we'll take these guys off. These can be a little bit of a pain to get out, but I'm going to show you how a mechanic would get it out in a hurry. That one comes right out, but the top one is going to hit the spring pretty good. Oh no, it's binding. Whatever shall we do? I had no idea this would happen. I'm going to try old baby Bertha here first. Just give the spring a little push. There it is. Taking this loose, it's going to drop the gearbox out of it. Put this up in there. The track bar's in, guys. That part was a little tricky. The tight fit on this is extremely tight. So I actually had to put a bar in there and kind of open it up just a touch, and the bar slid into place, and then we hammered it the rest of the way. So I now have to line the gearbox with the holes. Actually, I'm going to take the light because I need to see, not you. All right, now that it's started, it gets easier. There it is, guys. It's all back in. Yes, all 4 bolts. So that there is way thicker and way more structured than the factory. And it just allows for a little extra twisty on it. Now they have a second bracket that can come off and come over and grabs your pitman arm bolt or sector shaft coming off the power steering gear to stiffen that up. But we don't need that. When he breaks that, we'll do some other fun stuff to this thing. But next up, let's get these fenders on. So he went with DV8 off-road DV8. Ooh, ooh. So let's get these opened up and see what the hell's in there and get those on, and then we'll get the rack off. So just in case you were wondering, this rack, ooh la la, all you overlanders just sitting in the mall parking lot right now drooling over this. Got a little baby water. So this came with the Jeep. He's gonna be recouping some costs by selling this mall crawling rig. Pretty set up for putting groceries and stuff on the top. In all seriousness though, this thing's pretty friggin' sturdy. So any of you overlanders out there want to throw your kayak and dildo collection on top of this thing, it's up for sale. Nobody's gonna judge you. If you're interested in it, just hit me up on Penguin's Garage on Instagram. You know, some companies undership, and then some companies give their employees a box of crayons before they ship. Like what? This whole thing, this is how this has to come apart? Like, come on, man. I don't know where stuff is that we need, but it's in there. So hopefully I find the blue crayon while I'm in there. Okay guys, so we're on the driver's side. I'm going to show you exactly what needs to be done here. There's a connector. If you follow this wire, that's for your blinker. It comes down. It goes into a connector right here. And then disconnects. There's the connector. It's got a typical little push pin on it. So it's going to sit just like that. You unplug that. You're going in. You're taking this clip here. It's just a push pin. That push pin. That push pin. That push pin. That push pin up here. Right up top there. And then you get this bolt right here. Take this bolt out. There's a nut in here. A bolt, and then that bolt right there. You're going to take all those out, and then I'll show you what we got. So in the instructions, it says to save these clips for later use, but you don't really need to. And what I'm using for this is what I call my $500,000 tool. It's a fork. It's a fork with a bend in it. And this one's made by Strap-On, of course. And it is one of the best tools that you can possibly buy in the industry or at home. You can get them at Harbor Freight. I will throw a link in Amazon to one that I believe is similar to this one. But it absolutely makes these clips a breeze. And you don't break them unless you want to, like that. So those are all out. Now we're going to reach in here with our handy dandy notebook. Get the reference. Blues Clues. There we go. Alright, well. So that's just this big long chingus. That's what she said. That one. That one. And that one. Just got to get this one still. Got it. There it is. So, wiggle test. A little bit. Just a little bit. So the way we remove this from here is terrifying. You got to kind of talk to the fender. You caress the fender. And you pull the fender. And all the little chinguses come with it. There it is. I forgot one, guys. I forgot one. Silly, silly me. There's one right here, too. Now we caress it. Say nice things to it. And oh! Off she comes. So most of these little plastic clips are going to break. This tool is cool because it'll go in like this and it presses the ears together and removes them like they should be. But makes no difference. So let's go to the rear now. The rear is even easier. We have, starting on this side, one in here. I'm gonna just blast through this because it's only enough room for one hand in there. There's a clip right there. There's a clip right there. There's another clip right here. There's a clip here up top. And then there's one over here. We're gonna get all those out. So this side is very similar to the other side, only this one here requires a caress right here, a caress right here, and then you start feeling the undercarriage right there and you spank it and there it is. Then you tear it off. And that's it. So it required more than a spanking. There was a finger in the bum there and then gave us the leverage we needed. But here we go. And if you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, this dude is an absolute savage, I would never let him touch my car. This is literally how it says to do it in the manual. So, I get to be a savage because the instructions told me. I'm gonna clean this up real quick, clean up the front, and then we'll get going. So to clean this stuff, I like to make sure that it's wet. This is just window cleaning stuff, so nothing particular. I'm gonna wipe this. As I'm wiping it, I'm turning my hand to get clean parts of the rag. That way, we're not scratching the paint. We're just extracting everything. See how it's there to there? Then I'm gonna go up again, and I'm gonna get this side. And we're turning. Whoop. And we'll flip it. Get in here. Oh, yes. And then the bumper, who really cares if that gets scratched up, right? So the next part, we have to install these nutserts. What nutserts are is they go into a blind hole and then you crush them and they go like this, and this edge mushrooms out. And what that does is it allows a blind hole to now have a thread inserted into it. If you do not have a nutsert tool, they do have this, which basically threads into there, put it in the hole, and then you tighten it up, and then you loosen it up. But, I mean, I have the tool, so I'm not going to use that, but let's throw a couple of these in. So this is the nutsert tool. It goes like this. It pulls this little piece in and out. Mine's been worked a little bit. Okay, so this part here threads out, sticks out. You put your nutsert in there. So it's just about at the end of it there. And then you're going to tighten this. Put a good amount of force, that way when you squeeze it in one hit, it pulls this thing tight. Let's go see where these go. Okay, so here it goes, this hole, this hole, this hole, this hole, this hole, this hole, and that hole. How you do this, about as simple as we can here. We're going to put the tool in there. We squeeze this. It crushes nice. You unscrew the back of it, and you now have a threaded hole. I'm going to now do that to the rest of them, and come back when I'm done. Now on to the next step. There are 4 gaskets. This is very high quality stuff. Really nice gasket, actually. What I've been doing is you'll see a side that starts off, some of them have more notches than others. Find the holes closest together, put the piece up to it. As long as it aligns in the beginning there, you know you got the right piece. If this is over here or the foam's going the wrong way, it's not the right piece. So this lip right there is going to hang over the edge of the exposed, what you're going to see on the fender. I hope that makes sense. It does to me. So I peel back a good amount here. Not too much that it gets all cluttered up with dirt. Then I'm going to line up the top hole first on the fender, this hole. And then I just kind of keep pushing it towards the fender and then down. This does have a certain amount of auto correcting to itself when it's on the vehicle. So don't be super critical of yourself. And then the other thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to try and pull it tight on the fender, because then over time it'll cause it to shrink and you'll have fitment issues, and nobody likes shrinkage. You know, when you pull up to the trail and the gaskets don't fit right, everybody's like, oh, look at the shrinkage, that guy, ooh, and you're like all embarrassed about it. So yeah, I'm just using standard utility knife blade. And I'm going to start on the flat edge, and I'm just going to kind of shave straight across, nice even edge. One other thing that the instructions say that didn't matter in the front, but it's super critical in the rear. They say to get all this extra tape residue, I guess, out of the way. So how I do it is I take the whole piece. I'm not trying to cut around the hole. I go to the top of where that is and I just run down, get it all out of the way. Otherwise, you're trying to tape around it and it's not doing anything there anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Fender's prepped, minus this. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to, with the utmost precision, that was tough. Okay, that's trimmed. Let's throw it on the car. What you're going to need, all this hardware. Pick a bolt, any bolt, don't matter. You're going to use a bolt with a standard washer. And we're going to get a bunch of them. Looks like I got poop on my finger. Ew, where was that? Never mind. Mind your business. Ta-da! I got some bolts done. I do believe that they give you all the nuts, that you can put them on the back side if you want, and you screw them together with nuts instead of using nutserts. I didn't see it in the directions. And there was bolts too that they had. I didn't see anything about those in the directions. And there's no other holes that you can put things. Giggity. So yeah, let's get it hung up there. So I'm going to set you guys up in the distance there. And then I'll show you how I set this fender. So that's going to sit there. I'm going to do the furthest side first. Any side, doesn't matter which one it is. But just get a bolt started. Once that one's started, then you can get the front started. And then you can fine tune and align. Do whatever you gotta do. The back line on this, it actually sits inside of a recess. Everything else kind of gets sucked into place. Think of it as a reverse part. It's just gonna suck itself back in and go where it goes. So here's what it looks like. It lines up nicely, the side profile of it. This fits right in that groove, that's the one I was telling you about. And then it kind of, out here, it's gonna pop out a little bit. And then it's almost surface mounted here in the front. So I'll show you how to get that light in now. These are actually super cool because they have the exact Chrysler pigtail already in them. This one here, the rubber boots are pushed out a little bit, so I'm stuffing them back in there. But we're going to squeeze this in. The connector doesn't fit, so you have to come in from the back side.
Giggity, 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 ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
Light goes through first, push the grommet in, and then thumb the button in there. Come underneath, make your connection. Nice and easy to get to now that there's nothing in the way. I'm gonna wrap mine around a couple times here. Gonna add a zip tie. Get everything where I want it. Tuck things away. Voila. The front fender is installed. Back's a little trickier. Let's check that one out. So there's a couple different tools that are going to make your life much easier. This is a pain in the butt. There's this here. I know this looks like witchcraft, but it is a 4mm swivel headed Allen key. This here is a longer one, same thing. It's a ball head on it. This one's a Mac Tools, that one's a Mac Tools as well. I'll look around on Amazon. If I see a kit that's on there that I, would trust myself and try, I'll throw a link in the description. If you do not have a set of these, they're incredible. This little kit, the bit sits inside of it. So look at how compact that is. When you're doing like old Chevy speakers up on the dash and stuff, and you got to get in between the dash and the window and you get this much room, or blend door motors, those can suck sometimes, especially if you're trying to give it the old quarterback hut. So yeah, I'll throw something in there, see what I can come up with. If I can't find anything I don't think would work well, it's not going to go in there. But this fender, let's go over some things. This fender is not going to fit nice. It's pretty goofy. Here's the other side. You can see it gets wonky right there, and then it comes back and it fights a little. So it's a little different. Let's see what I didn't think it was the right fender at first, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bolt this thing in place and see what it does, and it fit. So if you think you got the wrong fender, don't freak out. I've already taken the liberty of putting a little rubber chingus on this one. Okay, so this one here, same thing. Do the back one. Back one's probably the easiest one to start with, but maybe not at the same time. And then there are some longer screws and there's some shorter screws in the packages. You're gonna wanna save the long ones for these little bastards back here. Also worth talking about, there's some itty bitty washers, little baby washers. Those washers are for the back where it butts up against the top. So the backing plate will butt up against this. You'll see it. Okay. So that's that, guys. You can see the seam all the way around. Gets a little goofy in here. The other side, it wouldn't stick out. It was in. Pinches into there. It kind of works. It was a pain in the butt. These screws suck to get to. These ones up here are kind of bad. The rears are not fun. Fronts, easy all day, every day. I'll do those 30 times over. This side here, if I wasn't fighting with those bolts back there, I would say an hour total for anybody could easily get this done. But I'm gonna pull it out. Get a little rat's nest going on in this bad boy, so we'll go hook it up to the Dodge, drag it out, and then free spool it in. Guys, you ready for the big reveal? Jeep! Up. Wrong Jeep, sorry. I keep doing that. God, I'm so bad at this. There she is. Let's check her out. There she is, guys. The nice new fenders on, the rock sliders are on it, the fuel tank, skid guards on it. I'd say she looks a lot better than she did, especially without the stupid little rack on top with the little baby Wada. I think Chris is going to be pretty happy. You guys will see it in action in Big Bear. See if we can trash these things or if they hold up. But that's it. So guys, I'd like to thank you for watching another episode of Penguin's Garage. The next video that comes out is going to be us wheeling in Big Bear. We got about 3 days of wheeling. There'll be 2 days of hiking, so we're going to hit some fun stuff up there. I got a mess to clean up in here, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.